A couple of months ago, we went to Egypt for a cruise on the Nile. We went there with friends and family, and we went there during times when people rarely recommend you to go there. We traveled to Egypt, and people say, don't go there, you can get killed. But we cannot stop traveling due to terror threats and bomb threats. We cannot stop doing things we love to do, because some people work hard to scare us and to make us feel insecure. The world has never, ever been a safer place than it is today. And speaking about traveling, I love traveling. Traveling has been a passion of mine for as long as I can remember. When I still was a teenager, I started to travel the world. I bought a one-way ticket on the Trans-Siberian Railway to China. I picked oranges in Australia. I hiked the Inca trails in South America, and I worked as a barman in Hong Kong. When home, back in Sweden again, some of my friends wanted me to show them some pictures, to show them what I have seen and to share what I have experienced out there. And some of them became truly inspired and took off as soon as possible, while others said, I would love to do that too, one day. So I asked them, what stops you from going now? And they said, well, you see, I have a job, I have a car, I have a cat. What I realized many years later was that what they actually told me back then was that I have a great number of excuses for not going anywhere. What I realized many years later was that there are other ways, there are other paths, and there is one very special one, your own path. Make sure you walk your own path and that you make your own choices in life. And when I ask people which decision they consider as the most important in life, most people say the person with whom they chose to live their life with. And therefore, it is extremely interesting and fascinating that a lot of people spend more time on deciding which electricity supplier they prefer than they spend on their decision about their partner for life. And amazingly often people say that when it came to their choice of partner, it just happened. We are obviously so obsessed by or to be super rational and to make the best decisions, so we completely fail to make the most important ones. We are not rational by nature, not at all. Our feelings guide and govern us in most aspects of life. Our feelings inform us how to react and what to do long before any rational argument gets a chance. And I will now carry out a simple prospect theory test that originates from early research by Tversky and Kahneman to illustrate how this works even in an extremely simplified choice situation. I will now offer you two alternatives. And you have to choose between either A, $40,000 with a probability of 80%, or you can choose alternative B, where you get $30,000 for sure. How many of you would choose alternative B? Up with your hands. Interesting, very interesting, 82%. We have carried out similar tests in different settings with respondents from different countries with diverse cultural, social, and educational backgrounds, and the results we have received have always followed the same patterns. We hate uncertainty. We hate risk. And people therefore intuitively go for the certain alternative, in this case, alternative B. We don't want risk to be a part of life, but life is a risky business. On this slide, you can see my father Pentti and I. As God created us, in a Finnish sauna. I was 1 year old at the time and my father was 21. My both parents came in the mid-60s to Sweden as labor immigrants. They left the poor existence in Finland behind and moved to Sweden with their heads and hearts full of dreams about a brighter future and a better life. They followed their dreams, they took a chance, and they almost succeeded. But life played a trick on them, and they both died far too young. Today, we witness how hundreds of thousands of refugees flee dictatorship, war, and misery with their heads and hearts full of dreams about a better future, or at least to survive. These people don't take a risk. They take the only chance they have. Here in Sweden, most people live in relative comfort. Most of us have a job. We have a home. We have all the basic needs satisfied. And as a consequence, we are no longer prepared to take any risk. We are no longer prepared to go for the unknown. Because in our society, it's become more important not to fail than to succeed. Rather safe than sorry has become the modern mantra. But if we do not follow our dreams, what's then left? When I ask people about their dreams, I often experience they don't know what the dreams are, or even worse, if they have any. So I used to add some prerequisites in these cases, and I asked them, what would you do if you knew you had only, let's say, 3, 2, or 1 year left to live? And you know what? The most amazing ideas pops up. People tell me that they would like to work less and spend more time with their loved ones if time were limited. So the question you should ask yourself is, what drives me? What's my bliss? What are my dreams? And whatever it is you're dreaming of, you better follow those dreams, because time is indeed limited. That is the only thing I can and will promise you today. What we lack is perspective. We lack perspective and we lack courage to follow our dreams wherever they lead us. And this picture is taken in Vienna in 2001. This is my former wife Malin and our daughter Filippa. Filippa, she was 7 months old at the time. We had a fantastic summer in Vienna. We spent 3 months there when I worked there. A fantastic time, and life was nothing but wonderful. 3 months went by, and back home in Sweden again, we started to plan for our next child and the rest of our lives. Malin got pregnant during New Year, and the future looked brighter than ever. But things were about to change. Things were about to change sooner than we ever could have dreamt of. When we had reached week 23 of the pregnancy, Malin got ill. She had had various pains in her body for some time, and the doctors assumed it had to do with the pregnancy, that it was more or less something normal. No one even reflected on the fact that it could be something dangerous. But one night, Malin's health got worse, and the doctors had to accomplish an acute surgery. And they found that Malin had a far-reaching cancer in her stomach. They said that the baby seemed to be okay, but regarding Malin, we need to be honest. We don't know. But we will do everything we can to fight the cancer. We faced a long and troublesome summer. Malin fought her cancer bravely. She fought for her life and she fought to see her kids grow up. But she lost that fight. She died 1 week short of her 33rd birthday. And some time after Malin died, a journalist asked me, "Don't you think it's horrible when a young person like Malin dies in the middle of her life?" And I replied and said, "People cannot die in the middle of their lives as little as you can stop in the air when you jump from a tree. When you have landed, you're on the ground. When you're dead or when you die, your journey is over." I felt extremely sorry for myself for a long time after Malin died, far too long. Until I one day realized that it was, of course, completely mad of me to pity myself. I could still watch the sun rise. I could still watch our children play. And it was my obligation to play the cards I had in my hand in the best possible way from that day on. And we are all familiar with the expression, "After rain comes sunshine." 3 years after Malin died, I met Mona. Mona was, and still is, 11 years younger than I am. And when we met, I lived in a small city in the northern part of Sweden, whereas she led a completely different life in Stockholm, far from the duties that come with small kids and a family. And I am sure that she had easier prospects at offer than to jump on board the ship of love with me and 2 small girls missing their mom. But no matter the ifs and buts, we decided to go all in. We married a year after we first met. Today we have 4 wonderful kids and run a company of our own. At an early stage of our relationship, some people asked me, "Is it that smart to get engaged and married just a year after you met and to have children the year after that and so forth?" Yes, I think so. We think so because Malin's legacy was so present. And the losses in my life had taught me so much. And I remember like it was yesterday, when we walked nearby a lake, a rainy Sunday in Stockholm where we live. I used a wooden stick. I drew a compass in the sand. I wrote family in the middle of the compass. I wrote friends in the second circle, and I wrote job in the outermost. These are my priorities. This is my life compass. This compass helps me on a daily basis to navigate in my domestic life as well as in my profession. My family is my greatest asset. My family is worth way more than I used to understand before I lost it once or twice. And regarding friends, we cannot get new old friends, so you better take care of those you have. And when it comes to my job, I love my job. I do it with passion, but it's not worth more than life itself. A lot of people nowadays work more and harder than ever in search for something more, something better. Yet, at the end of life, very few regret they haven't worked hard enough. On the contrary, a lot of people regret that they didn't spend more time with their kids, with their family, and with their friends, and so forth. I don't know. Perhaps they didn't have any life compass, or they stopped looking at it along the way. So I have a dream. I have a dream that those of you who don't have a life compass of your own yet, create one and start to live your life accordingly before it's too late, because time is indeed limited. Thank you very much.